Hello and welcome to another episode of Who Knew in the Moment, the podcast. I'm your host, Phil Friedrich, and today I'm honored to have Maaxx West with me. Maaxx is an entrepreneur. She owns her own photography business, but she's also in the fitness world and in fitness competition. And so I'm really excited to highlight how she's gotten into these areas. But one quote that she has that really stuck out to me is that nobody is too busy. If they are interested and important, they will make time. And I think that talks to the character that she is. And she shows with her people. So Maaxx, thanks so much for being on today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here. And I'm just like, whoa, that's the thing he pulled out. Where did I say? I don't know. I remember saying that, but where did I say that? Where did you find that?
Well, hey, we're giving you all the credit today. So it was good. It's a good nugget. Now,
oh no, it's great. I'm just like, wow, where did I ever write that? Where could you dig that up?
Oh, I love it.
Because there must be so many things that I have said that is possible to find online.
Yes, some you would have appreciated me saying, maybe some others possibly not. No.
Hey, I have nothing to hide, and I do not regret anything I've ever said. So feel free to say anything.
Yes. So growing up for you, you grew up in Sweden, and at a young age, you really got excited and into tennis. So talk a little bit about how that came to be and why you like tennis.
So I have a father who's very much into sports and always was very athletic. He competed in a lot of things. So I remember when I was little, my dad would tell me and my sister that, I don't care what you do, but you have to do something. Like you pick the sport or the whatever activity it is you want to do, but you got to do something. So obviously, because my dad played tennis and he had been playing for I don't know how long, that was the first thing he brought us to. And I played, my sister played, I immediately got hooked on it. I loved it. My sister did not at all. So I kept doing that. And I even had like a private teacher. Like I would train with my coach several times a week. And the goal was to get really good at this. And I think I played for, I was like 7 or 8 when I started, and I played for many years. I'm going to say like 11, 12 years probably. And I was really good at it. I even did a few like teenage competitions or championships or whatever. And it wasn't that I stopped playing when I turned 18.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was way cooler to go out and party with my friends. So, no, I mean, I'm not going to say I regret stopping playing because I don't have any regrets. I think that everything I've done in my life is for a reason.
Yeah.
But, on occasion I miss it, and I haven't really played, and I don't do it, but I should.
Yeah. Now, I think there's a lot of good life lessons we can take from playing sports. And, probably one of the reasons your dad wanted you to compete at something. And, talk a little bit about whether it was like getting a competitive nature or realizing, hey, I'm maybe not the best at something right when I start, but if I work hard at it, I can become a lot better. Talk about how that's played out for you and just maybe little takeaways as you reflect back.
I think it's like this. So I'm like a straight up copy of my dad in every possible way. My sister is like a straight copy of my mom in every possible way. So my dad is, first of all, I think he wanted us to do something. He's not a health freak like me, but he definitely understands the importance of moving and doing something, doing activities.
Yeah.
I'm just putting on my phone on do not disturb because I kept getting a bunch of texts now. So he definitely wanted me to just like do something to stay active, stay healthy, even though today we always joke about this. And he's like, yeah, I can learn a lot from you, because he's not like into the training and the nutrition the way I am.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was playing tennis. My dad is also, he works a lot, and he was always, when we were young, my dad doesn't have a lot of money, but he's doing very well.
Yeah.
So when I was little, if I wanted something, I had to work for it. So I remember that I was always a little scared. My dad has a very crazy sense of humor, and I've gotten that from him. So these days, I'm probably the same. And a lot of people will be like, whoa, wait, what the fuck did she just say? But an example, like story I never forget is I asked my dad, I said, I need a new jacket. My mom would say, you have to ask dad for a new winter jacket. And I said, I need a new jacket. And my dad would say, why? you don't deserve a jacket. And this was supposed to be a joke.
Yeah.
He would like say it as a joke, and I'll be like, oh my God, maybe I don't. No, and then he will pull on with his joke. You know, he could go on with that for days sometimes. And then he would be like, it was a joke. Of course I'm gonna get your jacket, but you gotta clean the house first. So then I will clean the house or do whatever I needed, and then I will get the money to buy what I needed.
Yeah.
So I always kind of got things. If I needed something or wanted something, I would get it, but I always had to like work for it somehow, which I think has made me that way. I always like to work for things. I don't expect to get anything for free from anybody. I don't expect people to give me stuff without me proving myself or doing something for it. And that's stick with me to this day. I still never expect anybody to just do something for me. I like to do something in exchange. And I mean, it's a very good thing, I think. So
yes,
that was great. Besides that, yeah, I said also my dad works a lot. Probably a little bit too much, and that's why I've always been like that too. You know, for a long time, many years of my life, work would come before sleep, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And for the past few years, I've completely changed that, and I believe that if you don't get proper sleep, you're not going to do good work. So for me these days, my priority is always to be healthy, because if I keep my body healthy and happy, I am going to do everything better. So I actually sleep 7 to 8 hours a night, and I'm way more productive. I work more efficient. I get more done.
Yes.
These days than I used to do before when I worked more hours.
Now, let's talk about that. And I mean, we don't need to get into necessarily the science of it, but one thing I would be curious to hear about would be how you listen to your body, right? I think there's a lot of times where if we would just pay attention, we would recognize like, hey, body needs to shut down for a little bit, or the body needs something, but we try and ignore it and just keep plowing ahead. What would be your encouragement to someone that's currently living that way and is trying to, you know, become more in tune with what their body's telling them they need to do?
So it's very hard. I do understand that a lot of people love to use the thing, but I don't have time. This is like one of the most common things for people to say. And I know because I used to use it all the time too.
Yep.
And they will say, oh, but I can't sleep more because I don't have time, or I can't go to the gym because I don't have time. And I understand it's very difficult to just take somebody's words. But whenever I coach somebody, for example, I always say, I understand that what I'm saying right now maybe sounds crazy to you, but please trust me, I said. And I'm going to say that the people that have actually trusted me, they're going to realize pretty quickly that, oh, it actually works. And this goes for a lot of different things. So I always say, if you don't sleep well, your brain isn't working the way it should, for example. Or if you're not eating right, your brain isn't working the way it should. Or if you have, I talk about this all the time, food sensitivities. People don't understand how big impact this has. It's not an allergy. I said, if you have a food sensitivity, it makes inflammation in your gut, and you might not even know it's there. And this inflammation in your gut makes your whole body not function the way it should. So I said, like, whenever somebody comes to me for any sort of help these days, I said, first of all, we're going to make sure your gut is healthy and your mindset is right, because when that's there, you're going to be able to push yourself in the gym. You're going to be able to stick to your diet. You're going to be able to be happy. You're going to be able to work harder, work more efficient. You're going to be able to do all of these things. And because it's much more than just the sleep that plays a role, obviously. So I'm said, like, I've changed my way of saying, oh, I'm a fitness trainer. No, I'm the queen of gut issues. Like, I'm the queen of gut. Like, that's where I always start these days, because you have to like kind of dig in and go from the beginning and fix things from there.
That's really good.
Nothing is going to work otherwise.
Well, and one thing that I would even kind of add to your comment, especially in the beginning part, when you're saying people say they don't have time, I always correct the folks that I get the opportunity to mentor. And I say, it's not a priority to you. It's not that you don't have time. You're just not making it a priority, right?
Yes.
Like, everyone has the ability to go work out, but you might prioritize going to the bar and having a couple drinks with a friend. It's not that you didn't have time. You just said this is more
Yeah.
important than that. And that's okay. Just don't lie to
Yeah.
yourself and say you don't have time. You did have time.
Exactly.
You just didn't make it a priority.
That's a very good thing you said, that don't lie to yourself. I think that's the thing, because if somebody makes an active decision to not work out and go have drinks, that's okay, that's on you, but you have to understand what that is going to do for you. Like, are you willing to have what the side effects that are coming out of that? I think that's the question, and it's not going to make anybody happy. So I said my goal in life is to be happy and feel good. If your goal is not to be happy and feel good, okay, fine. But I mean, I have a hard time believing that that's not what most people want.
Yeah, that's really good. So in your journey then, you know, like you said, hey, at 18, you decide you're no longer going to play tennis anymore. And you start thinking, maybe I want to start a business. And you start, I believe at some point, doing some bartending. And while you're bartending, an interesting idea comes up. Someone says, well, maybe you should move to New York if you don't love it here. And so talk a little bit about, you know, starting a business and then the transition from Sweden to New York.
Okay, I'm going to correct a little bit. First of all, I started working when I was 13 years old.
Okay.
And bartending was not, so I worked at a aloe vera company as a logistics coordinator before this. So I always had 3 or 4 jobs at the same time. I said I was a straight workaholic, not alcoholic, workaholic. I worked 7 days a week. I'm not kidding. I would go home and I would like nap on my couch for an hour or two and then go to the next job. And I would do this all the time. And I remembered, so I come from Sweden, and back in the days, believe it or not, like I'm a naturally like kind of skinny person, but I wanted to be even skinnier. I wanted to look like a supermodel, like super skinny supermodel, because that was what you thought was the way to be, right?
Yeah.
Nowadays, I know way better. These girls are not feeling good.
Right.
So I was exercising a lot. I stopped playing tennis, but I started going to the gym instead. And in the beginning, I will be doing like spin classes and like, what's it called? Like body pump and all of these like classes that is more like cardio. Because I wanted to be skinny, right? So I would work my ass off, obviously not be very healthy. And then because I bartended also like at night, so I would go out and drink with my friends after work instead of going home to sleep. So I will be not eating bad food. I'm not going to say that. I just didn't understand the concept of what's good eating. So this sounds kind of crazy, but I never ate protein. I would eat only pasta or like, I ate a lot of pasta, I remember, but I wouldn't eat any meat. I wouldn't eat any meat with it. Or I would eat like a bunch of cottage cheese. I guess that's a little protein, but I would eat like cottage cheese. And I would eat like this weird things. And I remember people at my job would always be like, are you eating cat food? Like, what's going on here? And I would eat several times a day because I started to learn that, you know, you need to eat frequently for your body to burn. That much I knew. But I didn't know what to eat when I was eating. So eating very strange, and then drink alcohol, obviously. So I've never been like overweight in my life, but I was very, like I retained a lot of water. So I was very puffy all the time from alcohol. And I know I posted this picture once on Instagram and people like, oh, you were fat. Like, I thought you were always skinny. No, I wasn't fat. That is all water retention in my face. That's what it is. I wasn't fat. That's not what it is. So exercise like a crazy person, work my ass off, never sleep, eat really strange, and drink alcohol. And, you know, very bad, all of this. I also smoked cigarettes, like 2 packs a day, probably. And still trying my best to live this whole fitness life, you know? I had no clue what I was doing. So I started my business. I was probably 18. I started the photography business. I actually kind of got into that by accident. So my grandfather used to work for Nikon, or he still does actually. So I got a camera when I was very little. I remember like a red Nikon something, and I guess I took some photos. Didn't really know, how it worked or anything. But I always loved to draw, so I've always been an artist somehow.
Yeah.
Love to draw. Love to sit on the computer. Started like designing things on the computer. I do design and stuff also. And then I was a metal chick, like total metalhead. Went to all these metal clubs and stuff.
Yeah.
And somebody asked me, hey, would you want to go to this big metal festival? Like, we'll pay your ticket and everything if you can take photos. I was like, yeah,
Heck yeah.
I'm gonna do it. I was like, wait, I don't have a camera for this. So my grandpa helped me buy a camera.
Cool.
And I went there and took pictures. And I said, I'd never really done this, but I took the pictures and they was like, wow, you're really good. I was like, oh, I'm good at this. I didn't even know how the camera worked. I just like guessed my way around to the settings. Like I had no clue what the settings meant.
Wow.
I just taught myself what setting I needed for what occasion, but I didn't know why. So I actually learned that way later. So I learned how to shoot and set the camera. I never did the manual setting stuff. I did the manual settings. I didn't need auto settings on the camera ever. So I just guessed my way around this thing.
Yeah.
And then I started reading about it later. I was like, oh, that's what the f-stop means, or that's what ISO is,
Yeah.
So I took pictures for this rock magazine for many years, actually. Okay. And that's how it all started. So I was shooting like people in the festivals, like partying and having fun. And then I was standing, by the stage, taking pictures of the artists. And I think that taught me a lot because also I was shooting people like in the clubs after the concerts.
Okay.
And that's how I got into, I always call my style paparazzi style. I love to shoot paparazzi style. I don't want the person I'm photographing to be looking in the camera and thinking we're doing a photo shoot.
Yeah.
So even when sometimes I do content like that, I will actually photograph my clients without them really knowing I'm doing it. Or when I do a photo shoot with a model, I will tell them like, forget I'm here. I'm just going to tell you to do a bunch of shit and you're just going to do that and forget about this photo shoot.
Yeah.
And that's how I make my content. And I said, everybody has their own style. I'm not saying other types of styles are bad or anything, but I know a lot of people come to me because what I do is very different. And you don't have to be a professional model to come out great in my pictures.
Yeah. Well, and so let's highlight that, because I think too frequently when you're entering into a business or you're entering into something, you're trying to emulate somebody else, which means that you're not doing your style. You're trying to copy someone else's style. And the problem with that is,
Okay. Keep going though.
No, I was going to say the problem with that is someone else's style, depending on what we're talking about, may be great for them. It just may not be a good style for me, or it may not be my thing. And so you have to have confidence to be willing to try your own way of doing things opposed to just adopting.
Certain businesses, So I just to explain like how my business works, people come to me because they want my style. Yeah. Because they want me. So I'm going to say not even 1% of my clients will tell me something they want me to do. 99% of everybody that comes to me say, hey, Maaxx, I'm all yours. Do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah. Now, has it always been that way?
Developed. No. Right in the beginning, when I started, I'd had like a traditional photo studio, taking pictures of dogs and babies and clothes and all this stuff. Yes. But when it really kicked off so I used to be the photo manager and creative director for Shred Supplements. Yeah. And I actually got hired as a graphic designer. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this I already had my own business. Yeah. But I was like, you know what, I've just come to this country, started my company. Nobody knows who I am. I need to get into this whole country and so I was like, you know what, this might be a good idea, work for this company. They're actually growing really fast, yada, yada, yada. So I started as a graphic designer. I told them, hey, I'm a really good photographer. I want to do photography. And they're like, nope, we already have photographers. We don't need that. And I was like, okay, I'm not okay with that answer. So I went on my day off to an event they were hosting and I took pictures for free on my day off. Nobody knew I was there. And I sent them to the owner and he's like, whoa, okay, you're our best photographer. You are now the photo manager.
Yeah.
So that's what I say with what I say. I don't, a lot of people be like, why am I not getting this job? Or why am I not getting this race? Go out and fucking prove yourself.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna, here's the thing. If you can go out and prove yourself, nobody's gonna say no to you. And it's so common because I've had friends in my life or boyfriends, whatever stuff. They'll be like, oh, I think I deserve a raise, because I was like, you know what? Let's get you a raise. Okay, come here over here. Tell me now, let's write it down. Why should you get a raise? Exactly. This is why you're not getting a raise.
Yeah.
Because you don't even know why you should get a raise. You
That's
can't
good.
say, but that person got a raise. So what? Fuck that person. Like, they have nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
Why should you get a raise? Because I said, when I lived in Sweden, I had a few jobs where I was like an employee, and I know I have no problem going in and asking for a raise, but also I need to know, if I know why I should get a raise, you're gonna get a raise. Like, I will go in and I say, I should get a raise because this is this, and they'll be like, you know what, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yes.
So
there's
people have
Go
just
ahead.
weird mindset about certain things. I don't know what to say.
Yeah. Well, and one thing I want to highlight is you went above and beyond, right? You went in on a day where you didn't need to work and you weren't going to get paid to do it, but you didn't like the answer, so you wanted to do something about it. I think oftentimes we don't like the answer, we don't like the outcome, but then we just sulk in it opposed to taking action and changing it. So talk a little bit about that for you and taking action to get to where you want to go.
I think this is the difference between like a business owner mindset and an employee mindset, because the same. So I used to have a boyfriend of mine that I was trying to help him like build up, do his dream basically. Yeah. But what he could not wrap his head around was, but I can't go out one day and do some work that doesn't give me a paycheck, like pay right now. Yeah. And I said, as a business owner, you do a lot of things that doesn't pay anything right now, but it will pay off. Yep. So I said, if you're an employee mindset, you will go somewhere, you put in hours, and then you get paid for those hours. That's not how a business owner works. Yes. I will work every single day, and maybe I will not see that money until next month or next year or whatever the hell that is. Yeah. But that's not, so it shouldn't be like, if you think like that, maybe, the employee lifestyle is for you. Yep. But that has never been for me. I have no problem putting in work today without really seeing what that's going to pay me, because I know it will pay me. And that's what I did. Even I was an employee back then, but I knew that if I could prove myself, they were going to give me that position I wanted and a higher pay, which they immediately did. I'm not saying it's going to happen like that all the time. Sometimes I have put in work too. Like, I started a business. I've done a lot of fails too in my life. Like, I have started businesses that didn't work out. And you know what? Maybe I should talk about those more, because of course we talk about the things that work for us, but I'll be honest, like one time I started an apparel company and it didn't turn out well, and I don't have it today because it was a way bigger investment that I had ever envisioned, and I didn't have that. And when I started, it all sounded great, but it didn't turn out the way I wanted it to be, and I don't have the company today. So I said, you know what, it's a very, you actually got me thinking about that. I'm going to start talking about the businesses I didn't succeed in.
well, and I want to talk about that, because oftentimes if we don't succeed at something, people treat it as a death sentence. And it's like, well, maybe I'm just not good at being an entrepreneur. Maybe I am meant to be an employee. Whereas other people say, all right, well, I learned that that's not something that interests me, or that's not something I'm good at. Let's apply it to something else. So what about that for you? Were you able to bounce back from the setback or the failure, whatever you want to call it, right, of that business that didn't work out, and move on from?
So I've never only done one thing. Like, I've always had, I like to start up new projects. I love to start new businesses. So I've always had my photography. So my photography, that business I started when I was 18, and I've always had that as like my little in the background thing, or a lot of times it's been my main thing, and I can always go back to that. So I think that no matter what people want to do, don't drop your whole life for it, obviously. But so I can tell you just briefly, but I've actually had two different things. So there was one thing where we started a apparel company, basically, or it was supplements, apparel, etc. So it was just a little bad timing, honestly. It was right before COVID hit, and yeah.
Yeah, enough
Long
said.
story
Yeah.
short, it was just the expenses were just too high to be able to manage that. And I also had my own workout bands, which I still sell today. But I actually, when I first started that, I had a very famous celebrity as the face of the brand, thinking in my mind that, you know what, this is fucking awesome. I've always only worked with like Instagram people or fitness people. I was like, a real celebrity, this might be the shit, you know?
Yeah.
And not gonna lie, like, it was expensive,
Yeah.
obviously. And it was very, very cool because we did like a gift campaign, and we had people, like the most famous people. I said, because of contract stuff, I can't say names right now, because when I cut the person off, we had to, like, I can never use this person's name for anything. Like, we didn't end on any bad terms. It wasn't that, but it didn't work. So we had a lot of the biggest celebrities in the world posting this product. But the problem is that none of these people are fitness people, so nobody bought the damn band.
Right.
We got a lot of exposure, and I mean a lot, and nobody bought the band.
Yep.
And then after that, I even tried like a very famous fitness person also, same there. Nobody bought the band. And I was like, this is so strange. Like, I'm not getting it. So I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm going to just downsize this whole thing. It's not going to be a huge business. I'm just going to apply it to my own already coaching program and just sell it as a side item. And I sell way more bands today than what we did before.
Yes.
And I don't even try to promote it. I just sell my fitness program, and people are like, wait, she has a band too? Okay, I'm going to get that. So it actually worked out better that way. But, you know, you got to try to know, though. I wanted to test it, and it was really cool. I'm not going to lie. I was like, oh my God, we're working with a celebrity, but it didn't work.
Yep.
And it doesn't mean that she's not good or anything. That was just not her thing, you know?
Yep.
She probably does really well on selling other items.
Yep. Absolutely.
So, yeah.
That's really good.
Another story. So I said, yeah, I have lost a lot of money in my life, but I've also made a lot of money in my life. So, and I see it like this. I know I have friends that are extremely obsessed with not spending money. They need to save everything. And I'm always like this. I don't like to waste money, but I do like to invest if it helps me grow. Even if it doesn't grow my business, it grows me as a person and mentally. So yeah, sometimes you lose money, but you know what? Don't stress about it.
Yep.
You can make new money.
That's really good. That's really good.
So now, I think no matter what it is, don't let it get to you too much. That was like the bottom line here.
Yep. No, that's perfect. Now, as you're starting and growing a business here in the United States, you also start doing some training of fitness folks. And so talk a little bit about how you get into the training aspect. Obviously, you're enjoying working out, but like you said, hey, I wasn't necessarily all in on training with the rest of my lifestyle. I didn't necessarily have the diet down or the lifestyle down yet, but then you started coaching and training. So talk a little bit about how you got into that.
It actually started back in Sweden. I was an instructor at a gym. I did like step up classes and spin classes and stuff.
Yeah.
For a while over there, like I just did the class because they saw that I was just very athletic and I was just good in the classes, and they asked me to start hosting classes. So I did. And then when I came to the States right in the beginning, so I came here in 2012, and I didn't do it right. Actually, right as I got here, I immediately got licensed in the NASM, like the personal training, nutrition, corrective training, suspension training. So I studied all of these because I knew that whatever I was doing in Sweden wasn't going to work here. So I just got the licenses, even whether I was going to use it or not, you know? So I did that. Also realized that yes, studying can be good, but to be completely honest, fuck studying. I'm sorry, but there is so much misinformation out there.
Yeah.
And everything I've learned about health, everything we thought we knew is bullshit.
Mhm.
And the term doctor is a fucking joke these days. That's why I made my shirts. By the way, these shirts sell really good. Much better than the apparel company I intended to do first. So either way, so I came over here. I met my neighbor when I lived in Manhattan. He worked for Ford Models agency.
Yeah.
So we became very good friends. We both have dogs back then, so we would hang out every day, walk our dogs. And he was like, you know what? So I started training him first. And then he's like, you know what? You need to train my girls, he said. So Ford Models agency hired me to train their models, like for runway. These are like supermodels.
Yeah.
Like I trained some famous supermodels for like, what's it called? Fashion Week. Where is it?
New York Fashion Week. Yeah.
No, not New York. The biggest one. God, I can't think. Is it Paris? No, whatever, wherever it is. Either way, it doesn't matter. So they sent me these girls and I would train them for like a month or two just before they would go away and go on the runway. And I was shocked. Like these girls would come to me and, so they told me if I don't lose like an inch or two around my hips, they're going to fire me. I'm like, girl, that's bone. What, like, how are we going to get rid of that? Also, I can't gain any weight. I can't gain any muscle. And they put me on the juice diet right now. I said, anybody who is like, understands health and fitness well, it's like a death sentence.
Yeah.
First of all, like just to explain, I know people think, oh my God, but isn't like a juice diet or a juice detox or a smoothie thing, isn't that a good thing? Fuck no. There are certain benefits to doing like a juice cleanse or something for maybe a day or two. But overall, when you drink your food, you're causing a lot of harm to your liver. Yes, this goes for everything drinkable. Protein shakes too. Don't drink protein shakes all day long. I believe it or not, I'm a professional athlete and I don't drink protein shakes ever. It's completely honest. I don't drink protein shakes.
Yeah.
That's just, I think that most of the protein shakes out in the world are used by people that are not fitness people. Fitness people, we eat food, real fucking fuel. No, because it's always people are always, how many protein shakes you drink a day? 0. So they were putting on the juice diet, so they were going to lose weight. And I said, well, the issue with this too is that if you do drink your food for a while, and I say this because I've done it. I have done a juice diet back in Sweden when I was young and didn't know any better. And what happens when you stop the juice diet? You're going to gain weight, right? More than you started with. So you basically go back to even worse than you were when you started. This is what the body doesn't like, rapid changes. First of all, I said when I diet for a competition, I cut on in one whole week, I might cut out 10 grams of rice.
Wow.
That's the pace of my food decreasing. So I said the body doesn't like rapid increases and it doesn't like rapid decreases. There is no such thing as a quick fix weight loss. There is no such thing. It's going to harm you. Don't do that. So when people message me, they say, what's the best way to lose weight fast? There is none. There is no good way.
Yeah. No sustainable way, right? It's not sustainable.
No, but you should never do it, because if you lose, oh my God, I lost 50 pounds in a month. How do you think your hormones are right now? Go check your hormones, please. Like, yes, maybe you lost that weight, but you immediately caused a lot of health issues to yourself. Yeah. I mean, there are people that are obese that maybe the side effects of that rapid weight loss might overweigh it might still be worth it for some people, because it's like, if you don't drop this weight, you're gonna die. Okay, fair enough. You always have to weigh the pros and cons to everything. But a normal person that is not overly obese and wants to become healthy and happy and just lose weight, no, do not do this fast. We do it slow and we do it healthy.
Yes. Now, what's the encouragement to somebody, because that's one of probably the toughest parts of getting in shape or getting to your fitness goals, right? Is it's a very delayed delayed end result. You can see small wins along the way, but like the true, picture you're going for can be a very long time to get there.
Yeah.
So how do you keep people motivated in those early parts where they're maybe not seeing the progress they'd want to yet?
Trust me when I say they're going to see results fast. They're not going to get to their end goal fast.
Yes.
That's the difference. But here's the thing, when I start working with people, I said, if you're going to notice changes immediately, the first week, the second week, the third week, you're going to see changes all the time if you actually do this right.
Yep.
I had a very good example. I have a lot of women coming to me, and the main problem with these are actually not that they're eating too much, it's that they're eating too little. Yeah. And they're slowing down their metabolism. Their body, their hormones are so messed up that their body can't even burn fat anymore.
Yes.
So they will come to me. I had 3 women only in the last month come to me, all of them eating under 1,000 calories a day. I have never in my entire life ate that little. Not even a child should eat that little.
Yeah.
Do you know what your body is right now in starvation mode? And do you know what your body does when it thinks you're starving? It's storing fat to protect you from dying.
Yes.
Yeah. So these women, they would come to me and I was like, okay, so here's the deal. We're going to increase your food and we're going to cut down on your cardio. They're like, wait, what did she just say? Is she crazy? I was like, no, I know this sounds crazy, but I always tell them this. Here's the thing, trust me. And I said, if this scares you, please call me every day. Call me every day. Weigh yourself every day in the beginning until you see that what I'm saying is true. So I have people that come and say, okay, I'm going to try it, but I'm really scared. I said, okay, you're going to check in with me every day. You weigh yourself every day. As soon as if you gain the slightest little weight, you tell me immediately, because nothing crazy can happen overnight.
Yep.
So they start doing this and they realize pretty soon that we start slowly increasing the food. Their metabolism starts getting boosted, right? And we also start it's like slow changes. You don't go from 1,000 calories to 2,000 overnight. You slowly increase. So we start boosting their metabolism. All of these women lost weight. None of them gained any weight. Oh. And I'm not saying it's impossible, because here's the thing, if you have health issues or messed up hormones, weight gain can happen. But that's why I say, when you come to me, if I'm going to coach you, I said, step number 1, get blood work done, check your hormones. Step number 2, get a food sensitivity test. And then we can start working. Because if I tell you to eat, let's say I tell you, oh, you're going to eat chicken every day. And then it turns out that you're sensitive to chicken, like I am. I can eat chicken. And it slowly but surely starts creating inflammation in your gut. And it's going to prevent your progress. Yeah. So I said, I don't want to give you a meal plan until I know what I'm supposed to feed you.
Yeah.
And people say, oh, but what about vegan and paleo and keto? What do you think about that? I said, bullshit. All of that is bullshit. You should eat a diet that is made for you. So like, I should eat the Maaxx diet. You should eat the full diet. There is no such thing. Keto is one human being coming up with a diet that maybe worked for them.
Yes, that's so good.
And I have a very good example. I have a friend who has autoimmune disease, and so he's a professional, like fighting coach, like jiu-jitsu and stuff. He's a Sifu, like an official trainer in this. He has autoimmune disease and he almost died. We have a podcast with this guy. His perfect diet to maintain his disease is a half and half vegan and all fish. So it's not vegan anymore, right?
Yeah.
But what do you call that diet?
Right.
I don't call it anything. It's a diet that works perfect for him. That's what it is.
That's super good.
And same, like I tell people what I eat, but I never really go into details on my calories, because I said, why does it matter? What I eat doesn't matter to you. The foods I eat is not going to work for you. The amount I eat is not going to work for you, because you are not me.
That's really good. That's so good. Yeah. It's not, there's a one size fits all diet. It's, hey, you got to figure out what works for you. Love it. So as you're training and growing your businesses, at some point you decide, well, maybe I would like to try this like competition thing. I mean, I've got my competitive nature. That's always been with me. And now I think I want to maybe step into the competing world. So talk a little bit about how that came to be and how you decided to compete.
Well, actually did MPC, like traditional bodybuilding, like 9 years ago. So I lived in New York. I actually went to Times Square for some event. I met Dana Lynn Bailey, who back then was Miss Olympia Physique. And I know her very well today. She's the sweetest human being in the world. I met her and I was like, wow, she is so inspirational. Like, I love this woman. This is this is incredible. And, you know, she's massive. And I didn't want to look like her, but she still inspired me to the point where I was like, I need to try a competition. Obviously, I'm not going to be physique like she was, but let me try this bikini thing, you know? So I started prepping. I did everything myself back then, did all the mistakes in the book. So that's how I've learned. Because what do you think I did? I go online, right? I Google how to prep for a bikini show. So as far as training and stuff, you know, I knew how to train, kind of. I knew how to train heavy. Let's point it that way. So I was very strong and very tiny. So that's the thing. When people sometimes, I go live sometimes when I train and people are like, there's no way you train that light. Yes, I do. That's how I grow the visual muscle, because it's not about being the strongest person. It's about being the smartest person. So I would train super, super heavy, and I would be that tiny little toothpick who would bicep curl 45 pounds. No problem. I cannot do that today. No way. So I train like that. And I also read, you know, I Googled like a bikini diet. Biggest mistake ever. So I found a diet plan online and I started following it. And this diet plan had like no carbs, basically, because that's what people think you need to do. People think you need to cut carbs to lose weight. But here's the thing, what people fail to realize. It's not the carb itself that is the bad guy. Carbs are energy. You need energy to do things, right? It's not the potato that is bad for you. When you eat fries, it's the oil they fry it in. If you ate the potato by itself without the oil, it's not bad for you. It's the fucking oils. Like, and so many oils are inflammatory, and buy an air fryer. That's all I can say. I don't use oil. I don't use oil when I cook. No, zero oil. Not even cooking spray. Fucking air fryer. So I said, it's not the carbs. People have this misconception that carbs are the devil. They're not. That's not how it works. So I said, when you start cutting out your carbs, you're probably cutting out the fat too. And then you're losing weight, right? And then when you cut carbs too, you lose water weight. That's what you lose. It's not fat. It's fake weight. And you lose your water weight and eat carbs. So either way, I cut my carbs, obviously. So I start dropping weight rapidly, and I turn into like a skeleton with skin on and some abs. That was basically me. I got so small, and also back then I didn't know how my body worked fully. So I was doing a lot of cardio. These days I know that, you know, when I cut, I don't do cardio. Zero cardio. I do for my competitions. And I also never realized how much food my body actually requires. So I was under eating, overdoing cardio, stepped on the stage. I did really bad. First of all, they told me I had way too much abs. They don't want a bikini girl with a straight 9-pack, you know? And I was way too lean and all of these things. So then I waited like a month, and I actually cut down on my cardio, increased my food, and went in and did a fitness competition and placed 4th. So from me being less lean and eating more food and not doing so much cardio, I looked better. And I think I didn't actually really realize everything back then, but I think I was like, okay, you know what? I actually look better, a little bit fuller and not so crazy shredded, because I also saw that being shredded, that's not my problem. It's keeping muscle that is my problem. Everybody has their own issues. You know, we all have our own struggles, and none of them are easier or worse than anything else. We just have to learn to work with them. So I did these shows, and then I was like, you know what, I probably need to grow more muscle. So I hired a coach, like a good coach, and he's the one who got me into the whole no cardio thing. And that's when I started doing it, because, you know, he gave me he told me what to do, and I actually trusted him. Which is this, here's the thing: if you hire a coach, yes, there are bad coaches out there, of course, but do your research. And when you find a good coach, trust them. Don't think they're bullshitting you, because I hear so often too, oh, but they told me to do that, but I didn't do that. Why not? How the hell are they going to coach you if you don't do what they tell you? How are they supposed to know? I tell my clients all the time, girl, if you didn't sleep well or you didn't take a shit today, you tell me immediately. I need to know everything about you. As people don't understand that everything has to do with each other. Everything has to do with each other. Or I even had clients sometimes, I didn't want to do a check-in because I got my period. Oh, definitely do your check-in. I need to know exactly what you look like on your period, because that we have to take in consideration. What if you have it on stage?
Right.
Everything matters. So either way, so I coached with him, everything went great, and then I broke my wrist. So I was at Olympia taking pictures, and I was on a hoverboard, tripped, fell, broke my wrist, had a horrible doctor that treated me incorrectly. So I didn't use my arm. I always told people it was 8 months, but then I told the story the other day and started counting. I didn't use my arm for 13 months.
Wow.
Because he let me heal back with like thousands of pieces of crushed bone in my arm. So I couldn't do anything. Like I couldn't even hold the glass. And I tried to find a doctor to help me fix it, but nobody wanted to help me. Everyone in this country is so scared of getting sued. So I ended up taking a flight to Sweden, and they sitting in the weight room, and I was like, hi, I'm here. And I showed them my arm, and they're like, and the hand was poking out sideways like this, and it had been like that for months and months, and they bring out 5 doctors in the room, look at me like, we've never seen anything like this in our lives.
Oh my goodness.
They're like, you need surgery like now. So I got surgery on Christmas. Actually, I'm very glad, because they said you can have a surgery on any day, whatever, but this doctor is the best and he can only do Christmas. I was like, Christmas it is. Because I'm very glad that I waited for this doctor. He did a very good job. And I mean, my arm doesn't work like a normal arm, but I use my arm perfectly fine. I train, I bodybuild, I compete, I do everything. Yes, I get pain, a lot of pain, but I do, like, I inject my amino acids. I talk about this all the time on my Instagram. Like, it's life-changing to actually do an injection rather than doing it orally. And it takes away not all the pain, but most of it. So it works great. And after the surgery, so these doctors are not fitness people, obviously. So they told me, you're not going to be able to do this and that. You can't compete. You can't do a push-up. I was like, wait, I can't do a push-up. So my first push-up, I did 5 weeks after surgery. I was like, I tell people, hey, don't be stupid. Don't do like stupid things, but don't trust doctors. Like, unless you have a doctor that has been through this. If your doctor is a bodybuilder that broke his wrist, okay, trust his word. But besides that, I wouldn't. No. I had a client that has bad scoliosis. I have scoliosis too, really bad. I had a pain in my back my whole life when I was young. And the way I train, like I don't really have pain. I also sleep flat on my back, and I never have any issues really, on occasion. But my client says, I have a really bad scoliosis. My doctor told me I can never train again in my life. And I was like, wait, what? I said, this girl today deadlifts more than I do. And she was like, oh my God, thank you so much for telling me, I should go train anyway. I was like, I'm telling you, like, these people don't know. They just read from a book. That's what they do. And it's ridiculous. So I don't, honestly, I'm my own best. Everybody should be their own best doctor. Learn your body. You can depend on other people to understand how your body works. That's insane. These people have not been through shit. They just read everything in a book that also, considering what's been going on in the world for the last few years, do you really trust what's in that book? I had a crazy conversation with my friend yesterday. Here's the thing. Do you believe that somebody's actually ever been in space? Have you ever seen proof that somebody has actually been on the moon? Have you seen the recording and pictures of people being on the moon? Yeah. There's a very big chance that nobody's ever been there. I'm just saying, hey, do your own research. I'm not saying trust my word, but I have a lot of friends and we talk a lot of deep stuff, and we do all of our own research, and I'm very skeptical. Let's just say that.
No, so I like that though. That's good.
All the information, everything we've ever read and learned in our lives, what is actually true? Because it's very clear that we're being lied to all the time. So then I start questioning everything in life.
Absolutely.
And I think everybody should do that.
Yep. No, it's good, right? I mean, if you still come up with the same result, that's fine, right? But validate it for yourself. That's
no, and I'm just saying too, for every single person like you or anybody who listens to me, anything I say, don't take my word for it. Listen to me. And if you think that what I say seems like I have a good point, go research it. But don't just take my word for something that came out of my mouth, because here's the thing. Honesty to me is one of the most important thing in life, but how can you know that what I'm saying is true? You can't. So that's what I'm saying. Please take my information and go do your own research. And if you do your research and you see that, oh shit, she was right, I'm here for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I love it. Now, as you've progressed and you've continued to compete the last couple of years, you've continued to do well. And by doing well, you've been able to have a couple partnerships. So one is like First Form, and then one is with our mutual friend, Chris, over at Violate the Dress Code. So talk a little bit about, those partnerships and how they've come to be for you.
Well, no, those don't have anything to do with me competing. I have a very big mouth, as you might have realized here. I talk a lot. I'm very good at selling myself and also proving myself. I like to prove myself. So also when I'm out and about, I'm very social, but I also love to be by myself. But if I go somewhere, you believe that you're going to know I'm there. Like I will, you're there. You won't miss that I am somewhere. So I started competing in WBFF 2 years ago, but first of all, let's turn to my photography. So for 18 years, I've done photography. I shoot content I've shot for the majority of fitness brands that exist, and I never wanted to work with any of them because of the reason that I don't use supplements.
Yeah.
I don't drink protein shakes. I might drink pre-workout a few times a year. Energy drinks often hurt my stomach. I do eat protein bars on occasion, but again, I like food. So I never really wanted to work with any brands, and I'm so big about the gut health and everything. So I always did content, and my clients always asked me, would you consider being an athlete? And I always said no. So during COVID, I got really bored. And also I didn't have a social media before COVID. I mean, I had it, but I wasn't doing anything because I do it for other people. And I got bored because I was locked inside. So I started doing content with myself, and my pages started blowing up immediately. And because I know what to do, like, this is what I do for a living. Right. I help people grow online. So my pages started growing. And so I did like a thing with Violate the Dress Code. They reached out to me and asked about something at some point. Then honestly, they have become some of my best friends. I love the owners, Elle and Chris. They're just the best. And I'm gonna be straight up honest. I have an apparel sponsor, One Enemy. I'm not sponsored by Violate like that, but they're some of my best friends, and we do a lot of fun stuff together, and I love their clothes. So I do it because I freaking love it. And I don't know if I can share it. Actually, I got my own fit coming out next week.
Let's go.
But so that I work with Transcend, which is a hormone replacement clinic, which is, they do all my blood work, food sensitivity test. I get my peptides, vitamins, everything. And they are my freaking lifesavers. So I said, I don't go to hospitals. So I talked to Jesse, one of the owners. I talk to him almost on a daily basis. So this is like, sorry, a while ago, I broke my foot. I broke my toes and feet like 4 times. So I was in the gym, and this shitty apartment building I live in, the gym, everything is broken. So I'm in there with my headphones, and I don't notice that a 45-pound plate falls off a broken bar on my foot. Oh my gosh. It falls, and I almost pass out. And I was like, no, not again. So I jump up, and I feel like, okay, it's fractured, or like fractured, not broken, but it was fractured for sure. So I go upstairs, and I was like, I'm not going to go to the doctor. They're going to charge me thousands of dollars to ice my foot. I can do that myself. So I go upstairs. I order a hard shoe on Amazon. I ice my foot, on and off 20 minutes, put my leg up high, all of this. And then I call Jesse, and I say, Jesse, if I can fracture my foot, can I inject the BPC in my foot, you think? Like it's for recovery and healing. So it's called the Wolverine peptide. It's like a funny name for it, which I didn't know back then. I was like, can I put it in my foot? Do you think it will help? He's like, well, you could technically, but it shouldn't really matter, you know? So I was like, I'm going to try. And I look at it, I was like, wait, I don't have any fat on my foot. Where am I going to inject it? You know? So I just keep doing it in my stomach or my glute like I always did. And, you know, just treat it well. I trained with my hard shoe on and everything. 6 weeks later, I leg pressed 6 plates, no problem.
Wow.
And I was kidding. People like, oh my God, you have to go to the hospital. I was like, no, I do not. I said, I know my body so well. If my foot was actually broken and bone was sticking out and it was bleeding, yeah, of course I would have gone there. But the skin wasn't broken. Yeah. And I felt and I saw that there were no bones like poking out anywhere. So why am I supposed to go there? What do you think they're gonna do? Charge me $2,000 to put ice on it? Are you like, seriously? No, thanks. I've been through this before. So everything fine there. And then also before my last competition, I got like food poisoning, or I got colitis. So colitis is something you can have it permanent. Like I actually have friends who have colitis all the time. It's like a bowel issue kind of, so caused by different types of foods, etc. And a lot of people basically you shit blood. It's very bad, and a lot of people can have this all the time. So I have a friend now, I'm trying to help with her figure out her diet, because there are certain foods that can trigger it, and especially the food sensitivity is a big deal here. And the same as Crohn's is another the thing you can have. People might have heard of it, Crohn's disease. Yeah. So it's just a lot of gut issues. So I don't have any of these, but I got like a temporary colitis. So I guess you can get it from, so it's, I don't know for a fact where it came from, but because I was on prep and only cooking my own food, but it could have come from like I bought maybe groceries in the store that had some sort of bacteria. I don't know. I'm not going to say exactly why I got it, but something like that. So I go to the hospital because I was throwing up, and like I was so bad I couldn't breathe. It was so bad. And I was like, what the hell did I eat? It must have been some poisoning going on. So I go to the hospital. Immediately, they put the freaking IV shit in my arm. And I said, wait, what are you doing? They're giving you nausea medication. No, I said, you don't give me nothing. Nothing. I'm on prep and I don't take meds. They're like, what? No, don't. I said, let me fucking be. I'll throw up. It's fine. So I'm there for 2 whole days almost. I had to be there. And I said, I want you to do all the tests on me to see, I want to know what's wrong. So they do like lung tests, like liver tests, gut test, like all the freaking tests on me to figure out what's wrong. And it says on the paper something, colitis, yada, yada, yada. So I take my paper, I call Transcend. And on my whole paperwork, it says patient refuses medication, patient refuses medication, patient refuses on everything. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to take that shit. Oh, and do you know what they also told me? To not take probiotics. For some reason, all of my friends too say the same. The doctors tell you to not to take probiotics. Please explain that to me. They're purposely trying to make you sick, so you got to come for meds. I mean, I don't know what other reason you would say that. Oh, but do take antibiotics. You probably need antibiotics. They say, do I? And no probiotics. Like, what is going on right now? So it's like, either way, I did all of this, and then so I still use my BPC, which is good for the gut, and then something called TB500, which is another peptide that is good for the gut. I used this, and then I was fine. It took like 1.5 weeks before I was really good again, but then I was fine. So either way, I said, no matter what happens to me, yes, there are reasons when maybe you have to go to a doctor, but fucking please, people, don't just take the damn meds they give you. Yeah, it's only gonna make you worse. If the doctor can't tell you, you are sick right now because of this, go somewhere else. Don't say, oh, you're sick, take meds. Yeah, but what's the cause of this? Because if you take meds, it's not going to fix the problem. It's only going to hide it and give you other side effects. I get very like when I talk about doctors, because it's a joke. It's a serious joke.
I love it.
What was I saying? Oh, the partnership. Sorry, I'm like spacing out on other stuff here. So I'm a hyperactive, ADD, all of that, if you haven't noticed. I'm all over the place. No, so I compete in WBFF. I've done 4 shows total. Actually 5. I did a virtual show during COVID, got my pro card. Then I won my first show. Then my second show was Worlds. Last year I got 3rd place. Then I did another USA show, won that one too. And then I did Worlds again now and got 4th place. So I'm working for the world title.
Yes.
That's all I got left. And then I do coaching. I coach girls to compete, and it's a lot of fun. And I have a lot of women coming to me because I have tattoos and no breast implants, and I still won 2 shows.
Yes.
So there people are starting to realize that you can actually do these things. You don't have to look the way. That's why I love WBFF, because they like when you're different. They like to highlight, like, everybody can be beautiful no matter what they look like. And that's why, you know, when I coach somebody, I'm like, you don't want to look like anybody else. You don't want to pose like anybody else. You don't want to dress like anybody else. You want to be you, because that's what's beautiful about you.
Yes.
And I never thought, because I was always a tomboy, and I still am, but now I love this whole glammy up and like girly and dresses and stuff. And me and my coach always joke about it. We're like, it was that little girl inside just woke up.
Yeah. But Maaxx, I love that, as that's probably a great way to kind of wrap up our conversation, because throughout your whole story, it's been, you know, living in the authenticness of who Maaxx is, right? And whether that was the way you did photography, or the way you train, or the way you view medicine, or the way you now are competing, it's always true to you. And so I love that that's been kind of the common theme, and I can't wait to continue to watch your journey and all the amazing things you're going to do, and where that's going to take you.
Oh, side note, you said about First Form. So I actually reached out to First Form, and the reason, so when I first reached out, I didn't really know much about their supplements. I'll be honest, I didn't. I called them and I said, hey, I want to be a part of your team because of your beliefs. And, you know, Andy Frisella, the owner, like, I'm very passionate about fighting about this whole medication and all the politics shit. Like, the people I surround myself with are people that are willing to fight till we freaking die, you know? And their company, what they stand for, means everything to me. So I talked to them. I said, I haven't looked into the supplements yet, but I love what you stand for, and somehow I want to work with you guys, I said. Then I went to the website and actually realized that they have vitamins that I use. I didn't even know that. I said, I don't use their protein powder, and the pre-workout, like, I have it. And on occasion, I like to use pre-workout, but not very often. I like coffee, but they have digestive enzymes, which I use every single day, 3 times a day, and liver detox, which I use twice a day, every day. So I was very happy when I saw that they actually had the products I do use, because I was like, oh shit, I didn't even know that. That's great. And then, you know, I love their protein bars, trying to not eat them too often, because again, like, food should always be your main source of fuel. Protein shakes are great. Protein bars are great. All of this stuff is great as a replacement when you can't eat food. That's what it's for. It's supposed to be an alternative when they're, you know, because life gets crazy sometimes.
That's good. That's good. I love it. Well, Maaxx, where can people find you on socials and connect with you?
Well, so say if any of my accounts get shut down, just find the next one, because I get banned and restricted and everything all the time, because I speak up very loudly and honest about everything. But I'm on Instagram, Maaxx West, as my name, MAAXXWEST, and that name I use everywhere. So if you go to TikTok, same name. If you go to Facebook, same name. If you go to Twitter, same name. Then if you go to my Instagram page, I have the links to, like, my podcast and my photography pages. Everything is in my bio. So I guess that's the easiest way, instead of me trying to read all of that up, because I have a lot of Instagram pages.
Yes, you do. You do.
Same with the website, Maaxx. So I actually have maaxxwest.com to make it easy, but it's also called madmaxx.com. So either one works. I always link several pages to be sure nobody gets confused.
I love it. Well, Maaxx, thanks again for being on and sharing your story. And super excited to see all the things you'll continue to do.
Thank you so much for having me. And who knows, maybe you're on my podcast next time.
Let's go.
Yeah.